It was supposed to be the perfect summer vacation. For college friends Hania, Umar, Ariba, and Fahad had been waiting all year to escape the city heat. After endless exams and sleepless nights, the idea of a lake house deep in the mountains sounded like pure paradise. They found the place online, a beautiful wooden cabin surrounded by tall pine trees, overlooking a crystal blue lake. The ad promised quiet, private, and peaceful. The pictures were stunning, and the price, well, it was unbelievably cheap. Maybe a little asterisk to asterisk cheap. But they were young and excited, so they didn't question it. They packed their bags, filled the car with snacks and loud music, and hit the road, laughing the entire way. The drive took hours, winding through dense forests and empty highways. As the sun began to set, their GPS suddenly died. The signal bars on their phones vanished, one by one. "It's fine," Umar said, trying to sound confident. The owner said, "The house is just at the end of a dirt road after the bridge." But when they crossed that old wooden bridge, the landscape seemed to change. The trees grew taller, darker, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching for the car. The air felt heavier, colder. A thick fog rolled across the road, as if trying to turn them back. Finally, their headlights caught sight of the cabin. It was bigger than in the pictures, old, weathered, and half covered in twisting vines. Still, it had a strange, rustic charm. The group unloaded their bags, their laughter and jokes echoing in the unsettling quiet as they carried everything inside. The interior was clean but dated-worn wooden floors, old furniture, and a massive stone fireplace. The air smelled of pine mixed with something else, something faintly metallic. On the mantelpiece sat an old, framed photograph of a family, a man, a woman, and a little girl. None of them were smiling. "Creepy," Ariba muttered, brushing a layer of dust off the glass. They didn't think much of it then. They were just too excited to finally start their vacation. Bay cooked dinner, blasted music, and danced until late into the night. But as the laughter eventually faded, strange sounds began to fill the silence. At first, it was just the wind whistling through the trees. But then came soft knocks, seeming to come from somewhere inside the walls, steady and rhythmic. Fahad checked the windows, but there was no one outside. The forest was completely still. "Just old house noises," Umar said, trying to brush it off. But the knocks continued until exactly midnight, and then, suddenly, they stopped. When Hania woke the next morning, the house was freezing cold. The heater was off, and every single window was wide open. The curtains swayed gently, even though there was no wind. And on the kitchen table lay a small stone doll, one none of them had ever seen before. Its eyes were missing, and its mouth had been crudely carved into a frown. "All right, who's messing around?" Fahad asked, his laugh sounding a bit nervous. But everyone swore they didn't do it. Trying to shake off the growing unease, they decided to spend the day by the lake. The sun was bright, the water was calm, and for a little while, everything felt normal again. They took photos, went for a swim, and had lunch right there by the shore. But as Hania glanced across the lake, She saw something that made her freeze a figure standing among the trees on the opposite side. It was small, motionless, and unnaturally pale. When she blinked, it was gone. That night, the knocking returned. It was louder this time, closer. Ariba let out a scream when she saw them, handprints forming on the windows. Small, wet, childlike hands, pressing against the glass from the outside. They locked all the doors, turned off the lights, and huddled together in the living room. Their fun vacation turning into a nightmare. "It's probably just kids from a nearby village," Umar said, but his voice trembled. Fahad, trying to be the brave one, decided to check outside. He grabbed a flashlight and stepped onto the porch, scanning the dark woods. Nothing moved. But then he pointed the light toward the lake. A little girl was standing at the water's edge, staring right up at him. Her dress was soaked, her dark hair clinging to her face. Then she smiled a slow, unnatural smile that didn't reach her eyes. The flashlight flickered once, twice, and went out. Fahad scrambled back inside, slamming the door shut behind him. "There's someone out there," he shouted, his voice cracking. But when the others peered out the window, the girl was gone. The forest was silent again. They didn't sleep that night. Every sound, every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves made their hearts race. At the first sign of dawn, they made a decision. They were leaving. They packed in a panicked hurry, throwing everything into the car. But when Umar turned the key in the ignition, the engine just sputtered and died. It wouldn't start. Then Ariba gasped, her eyes wide with terror. "Where's Hania?" They searched the entire cabinetry room, every closet, every dark corner. She was nowhere to be found. Only her phone lay on the floor near the back door. The screen was cracked, but the camera was still recording. When they played the video, their blood ran cold. The shaky footage showed Hania walking toward the window at around 3 a.m., whispering something they couldn't quite hear. Then she opened the door and stepped outside into the darkness. Standing right behind her, just visible in the gloom, was the little girl, holding the same stone doll from before. The video ended there. They ran outside, screaming Hania's name, their voices echoing through the silent forest. But the only reply was the wind. The fog thickened around them, and from somewhere near the lake, they heard the faint sound of soft giggling. Fahad turned toward the sound and saw the stone doll floating on the water, spinning slowly. By the time rescue teams arrived days later, there was no sign of Hania. The cabin was empty, the car abandoned, and the lake was as calm and still as glass. The locals told the police a story that years ago a family had drowned there, the parents and their little daughter. People said her spirit still lingered, forever looking for new friends to play with her by the lake. Now, no one rents that cabin anymore. The listing vanished from the internet as if it never existed. But sometimes, late at night, hikers in the area say they see lights flickering by the water and hear laughter echoing through the trees. The laughter of a little girl. And if you ever find yourself camping near a strange, isolated lake, and you hear knocking after midnight, don't answer. If you hear a child giggle from the direction of the water, don't look, because she's still waiting for new friends to play with. The last summer those friends spent together became the last summer any of them would ever truly remember. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Stay safe out there.